So, how do recommender systems work? Well, it comes down to understanding you. Not just you, but every customer or visitor to a website, or maybe even a network of websites that share data with each other. A recommender system starts with some sort of data about every user that it can use to figure out that user's individual tastes and interests. Then it can merge its data about you with the collective behavior of everyone else like you to recommend stuff you might like. But where does that data about your unique interests come from? One way to understand your users or customers is through explicit feedback. For example, asking users to rate an online course like this one on a scale of 1 to 5 stars, or rating content they see with a like or thumbs up or thumbs down. In these cases, you're explicitly asking your users, do you like this thing you're looking at? And you use that data to build up a profile of that user's interests. The problem with explicit ratings or feedback is that it requires extra work from your users. Not everyone can be bothered to leave a rating on everything they see for you, so this data tends to be very sparse. When your data is too sparse, it leads to low-quality recommendations. Another problem with explicit ratings is that everyone has different standards. So the meaning of a 4-star review might be different between two different people. Some people might just be more critical than others. I've even noticed differences in how people rate my courses between different countries, so there can even be cultural differences in how people rate things. There are ways to compensate for that, though, that we'll talk about. Another way to understand your individual tastes is through your implicit behavior. This is looking at the things you do anyhow and interpreting them as indications of interest or disinterest. For example, if you click on a link on a web page, we could consider that an implicit positive rating for that link and the content it points to. Or if you click on an ad, it might tell the ad network that you might find other ads similar to that ad appealing. Click data is great because there is so much of it, so you don't have problems with data sparsity. But clicks aren't always a reliable indication of interest. People often click on things by accident, or they might be lured into clicking on something just because some sexy image is associated with it. I've learned the hard way that building recommender systems that use click data alone just end up being pornography detection engines. Click data is also highly susceptible to fraud because there are a lot of bots out there on the internet doing nefarious things that can pollute your data. Things you purchase are a much better indication of interest because actually opening up your wallet and spending your hard-earned money is a sure sign that you're interested in something. Well, unless it's a gift, but that's its own problem. Using purchases as implicit positive ratings is also great because it's very resistant to fraud. Someone trying to manipulate a recommender system based on purchase behavior will find it to be prohibitively expensive because they'd have to buy a lot of stuff to affect its results. A big part of why Amazon's recommendations are so good is because they have so much purchase data to work with, and it's such a great signal for someone's interests. They don't even need great recommendation algorithms because the data they're working with is so great to begin with. Another implicit source of interest data is things you consume. For example, YouTube can look at how many minutes you spent watching a video as an indication of how much you liked it. Consumption data doesn't require consumption of your money like purchase data does, but it does require a consumption of your time, so it's also a pretty reliable indicator of interest compared to click data. That's why YouTube uses minutes watched heavily in its recommendation algorithms, and why YouTubers try as hard as they can to get you to actually watch their entire video all the way through. So in sum, explicit ratings are great if you can convince your users to give them to you, and that's what we're dealing with in this course with the MovieLens dataset we're working with, explicit movie ratings left by people who rated movies from 1 to 5 stars. But implicit data can give you much more data to work with, and in the case of purchase data, it might even be better data to start with. When designing a recommender system, it's important to think about what sources of data you have about your users' interests and start from there, because as you'll see, even the best recommender system can't produce good results unless it has good data to work with and lots of it.